Chapter 3695. She was prepared to open fire, killing Du Bokong and Du Jiuxing at this moment. Wang Zimu angrily roared, "If you shoot, I'll kill your daughter." In the next second, Wang Zimu's eyes were bloodshot as he pressed the gun against Liang Fangfang's temple. "You think I'll believe you?" Liang Kai gave a cold laugh. "You even want to protect such a despicable man? Would you kill a child?" "Mom, don't stop, they don't dare kill me." Liang Fangfang's eyes were filled with hatred. The charming appearance she had in the room was completely gone. There was only the fierceness and decisiveness of a man left. "I will." Wang Zimu's voice was very cold. He loaded the gun and said without any warmth, "Major Du is not only my boss, he is also my brother and my savior. I'm not as great as him, I can protect the people, but I will protect the people I care about more." It was because Wang Zimu's voice was too cold that Liang Kai was a bit stunned. Du Jiuxing looked at Wang Zimu and in an instant, Wang Zimu looked at Du Bokong. Du Bokong had already untied himself, and it was like he had eaten a smart bean. Taking advantage of Liang Kai's daze, he charged at Wang Zimu. Even though his feet were in excruciating pain, he still endured it. After all, living was more important to him than anything else. The whole process took less than 3 seconds. By the time Liang Kai reacted, Du Bokong had already arrived behind Wang Zimu. "Everyone, come in." In the next second, Liang Kai spoke into the Wolf Fang earpiece that she was wearing. She raised the machine gun and prepared to shoot in Wang Zimu's direction. Even if it hurt her daughter, she didn't hesitate at all. Du Jiuxing naturally saw the chill in Liang Kai's eyes, and he immediately charged at her. Liang Kai's machine gun was slightly off and a bullet passed through Du Jiuxing's arm, but she was already subdued by Du Jiuxing. There were rushed footsteps at the door. Du Jiuxing looked at Wang Zimu and said, "You leave first." He wanted to say something, but he could only say through gritted teeth, "Yes." At this moment, the group of people from the Clearwater gang, who were waiting at the door, rushed in. Liang Kai angrily pounded the floor and said, "Chase after him and bring this person back." "Yes." Du Jiuxing put down the gun in his hand and surrendered. After all, in a situation where everyone had a gun, it was useless even if he was a deity. Another group of people rushed out to chase after Wang Zimu and Du Bokong. Unfortunately, Wang Zimu's detection and anti-detection abilities were not something they could compare to. They naturally couldn't catch up, but they caught Du Jiuxing. "Mom, what should we do?" Liang Fangfang bit her lips and said, "Or we'll kill him." Liang Fangfang was probably blinded by hatred. At this moment, her mind was filled with thoughts of killing, and killing. "No," Liang Kai said coldly, "I want to use him to exchange for Du Bokong." "Will they agree?" Liang Fangfang was a little confused. A corrupt government official in exchange for a major with many military achievements. What reason do I have to disagree? Liang Kai narrowed her eyes and said, "If Du Bokong doesn't die, I won't be able to rest in peace even after 100 years. He had ruined her life, so she had to make him die." Calm. Wonderful Book House. Calm. Chapter 3696. Luo Qinchin was performing a very important operation on the operating table, but when she was about to finish, her heart skipped a beat. This feeling sounded very mystical, but it was all too familiar to her. Even if she didn't have any powers, even if she didn't have any abilities, she could still feel danger. "Dr. Luo." Xiao Yu saw that she was stunned for a few seconds before reminding her, "Is there a problem?" "No, you take over." Luo Qinchin took a deep breath and said, "I'm leaving. I have something important to do. I've passed the most dangerous part of the operation." Luo Qinchin looked at her and said, "You can do it." As soon as her voice fell, she didn't wait for Xiao Yu to reply as she walked out the door of the operating room. She immediately called Du Jiuxing with an uneasy heart. She wanted to wait for him to pick up, wanting to hear him say hello. But when her phone said that the number you have dialed has been turned off, her heart turned ice cold. Sitting in the car, she took a deep breath as she gripped the steering wheel, locating the location of the Special National Defense Forces. She stepped on the accelerator and sped off. At the same time, at the Special National Defense Forces base, Yi Zhongguo had his hands crossed as his face looked very ugly. 10 minutes ago, Liang Kai had sent them a live video. The video was of a small dark room. Du Jiuxing was blindfolded and tied to a chair. After a few seconds, Liang Kai's figure appeared in the video. Her eyes were very cold as she said to the camera, "Using Du Bo Kang's life to exchange for this handsome and young major, it's not a loss. Calm down." Yi Zhongguo tightly clenched his fist and said, "We can discuss all conditions, as long as you don't act recklessly." "There are no conditions to discuss." Liang Kai was very firm. "I just want Du Bo Kang's life. You have to know we can't give him to you." Yi Zhongguo tightly knit his brows. "Protecting government officials is the responsibility of us soldiers." "All right." Liang Kai gave a cold snort. "Then you can just wait to collect the corpse of this young major. I'm a man of my word. I'll broadcast his death live to you." "Liang Kai," Yi Zhongguo said angrily, "you are challenging the authority of a soldier. If you think you're willing to go against the entire Azure Sea gang for Du Bakong, then take it as me challenging the authority of a soldier." She sneered. "But as long as Du Bakong is dead, I don't care if I live or die." When Luo Qingchen arrived, Wang Zimu came to pick her up. He was very surprised that Luo Qingchen knew that something had happened to Du Jiuxing. When she arrived, she heard Liang Kai's words and she saw Du Jiuxing in the video. However, after Liang Kai finished speaking, the video call was disconnected. The tracking team shook their heads and said, "The time is too short. We can't track him." This is... After Yi Zhongguo saw Luo Qingchen, a stranger, he said, "Is she Xiaoxing's girlfriend?" "Yes." Luo Qingchen nodded and said, "Hello, General Yi, I'm Luo Qingchen." "Hello." He nodded before continuing, "Relax, we will definitely work hard to save Major Du, that." When everyone was feeling uneasy, Du Bokong, who was brought back to the base by Wang Zima, said, "If there's nothing else, I'll be heading back first." Chapter 3697. Luo Qingchen's cold eyes fell onto Du Bokong. "Chief Du, if we want to save Major Du, I'm afraid we'll need your help." Yi Zhongguo didn't like Du Bokong, but he was a high-level official of the government, so he couldn't say anything. He could only make a small request. Even his tone was like he was bowing. "Help." Du Bokong gave two cold laughs. "Help with what? Are you joking? AI, even people like you who have been trained for a long time can't take care of this. How can I help?" Du Bokong acted like he didn't care about this at all. He didn't think that Du Jiuxing was in danger because of him. "Chief Du, because Liang Kai wants you to appear, we can only ask you to help and not let her see any clues." Yi Zhongguo explained, "When the time is right we will replace you." "No." Du Bokong put his hands at his waist. "I'm telling you, don't even think about it. What kind of status do I have, and what kind of status do you have, that whatever Xing saving me is right and proper? Exchanging his life for mine is a matter of course. Do you understand?" Everyone revealed angry looks. Even Yi Meizhu, who always gritted her teeth at Luo Qingchen, looked at Du Bokong with eyes filled with anger. How could these be said by a person with a normal outlook on life? Did he think that he was the king? That it was right and proper for someone to use their life to save him? Luo Qingchen coldly narrowed her eyes and quickly took out the gun from Wang Zimu's waist. She jumped out and quickly came to Du Bokang's side. No one was able to react to her actions. There was a dong sound as Luo Qingchen grabbed Du Bokang's chest and forcefully pushed him down. Then she put the gun to his temple. "It's right and proper for me to kill you, there's no need to explain to anyone." Her voice was very cold, there wasn't any warmth in her words. Du Bokang's face turned pale as he kept groaning with his mouth wide open. Dr. Luo. Wang Zima hurriedly said, calm down, we still have time. I will only say what I'm going to say next once. Luo Qingchen loaded the pistol and said, I want Du Jiu to live. It doesn't matter who dies. I just want him to live. She narrowed her eyes slightly, and her eyes were red. It was as if all the scenes of the past flashed before his eyes, sweet and sorrowful. Miss Luo, what do you want to say? Yi Zhongguo was a smart man. He naturally knew that with Luo Qingchen's skill, killing Du Bakong was a matter of minutes. He didn't know how a doctor could have such skills. Contact her. Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes and said, I'll talk to her personally. We can't contact her. We can only wait for her to contact us. We can. Luo Qingchen's eyes trembled slightly as she said, 131 ***0585. This phone number was the Morse code that she had seen Du Jiuxing's finger move in the video. 11 digits, it should be a phone number. You. How did you know? Wang Zimu was very surprised as his eyes filled with disbelief. Just call her. The next second, Wang Zimu dialed Liang Kai's number, and sure enough, the call was connected. Miss Liang, connect the video, we have people here who want to talk to you. You. Liang Kai was surprised before saying in an emotional voice, you really are smart. Chapter 3698. After a minute, the video was played again. Luo Qingchen looked at Du Jiuxing in the video and her eyes trembled. Although there were waves in her heart, she still looked very calm on the surface. She had to be calm, she couldn't show any fear at all. Because whoever showed fear first would be the loser. Is it you who wants to talk to me? Liang Kai took out a cigarette and the smoke filled the dark room. She spat out a mouthful of smoke and said, I only want Du Bokang's life. His life, I can give it to you right now. As soon as her voice fell, Luo Qingchen put the gun in her hand to Du Bokang's temple. His life can't be compared to Big Brother Jiuxing's. You're serious? Really? Alright. Liang Kai laughed. As long as you kill him, I'll let this man go. Alright. Luo Qingchen nodded. She took a deep breath and pulled the trigger. She definitely wouldn't give anyone a chance to hurt Du Jiuxing. No one could hurt him. Dr. Luo, calm down. Wang Zimu immediately stopped her when he saw this. We will definitely save boss. If you kill him like this, you will also pay with your life. At that time, even if boss comes back, you will only leave him with endless pain. Luo Qingchen knew what Wang Zimu said. But there were too many things in the past that didn't allow her to make a choice. Every time, the one who was sacrificed was Du Jiuxing. She watched him leave with incomparable pain each time. No matter what, she couldn't let this happen this time. Dr. Luo. Yi Zhongguo immediately said, you have to believe that Jiuxing is my proudest subordinate. I will definitely. I know what you're saying. Luo Qingchen coldly narrowed her eyes. But I don't believe anyone. Even if she knew what kind of ending she would face, even if Du Jiuxing wildly used the Morse code to make her stop. But she felt that she couldn't stop. She pulled the trigger without any hesitation. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, but the deafening gunshot did not follow the moment she pulled the trigger. Du Bakong screamed and found that the other party had let go of him. He was stunned for a moment and hurriedly shouted, Help, help! Seeing this, everyone immediately rushed forward and restrained Luo Qingchen. She didn't panic when she caught Du Bakong, nor did she panic when she fired the gun. But at this moment she felt inexplicably flustered. The video was still connected, and Liang Kai's originally excited eyes immediately turned fierce. She roared, Why? Luo Qingchen took a deep breath and said with a trembling voice, I fired. I really fired. I was going to kill him. At this moment, her hoarse cries represented how helpless she was. Seeing that Du Bakong was safe, everyone except the soldiers of the Nine Souls team came up to hold Luo Qingchen's hand. Liang Kai angrily roared as she raised the gun and pointed it at Du Jiuxing's head. I don't want to wait anymore, I want an answer now. This feeling of ups and downs made Liang Kai go from extreme excitement to extreme disappointment. She lost her mind at that moment. Luo Qingchen saw her eyes and knew that if they didn't satisfy her, she would definitely shoot. But she didn't know. Du Bakong suddenly said, "Old monster, stop dreaming. They are soldiers who serve the people, my subordinates who are responsible for protecting me. How could I be used to exchange for them? Are you stupid?" End of this chapter. Chapter 3699. In an instant, the entire base fell silent. The soldiers let go of Luo Qingchen's hand and looked at Du Bakong with the same gaze. His words were too hateful. He always cared about himself. He was such a selfish person. "All right," Liang Kai roared out, "since you want to use a major's life to exchange for a scum's life, I'll help you." Liang Kai turned around and fired a shot at Du Jiuxing's head. Blood splattered all over the monitor. "Don't!" Luo Qingchen felt her world fall silent. The surroundings became more noisy, but there wasn't a single sound in her world. In the video, it seemed like someone had rushed in, but it quickly went dark. "Boss! Jiu Xing! Major Du!" There seemed to be people calling his name, but in her eyes, those people were just here to watch the fun. True sadness and despair couldn't be discussed in a shocked tone. For example, "What happened to Major Du? I seem to have seen a bullet hit him." "Could it have really hit him? I saw blood." "It definitely hit him, he fell down. What to do? Could Major Du have?" "He's definitely dead, I saw it with my own eyes, the bullet went through." Luo Qingchen took a deep breath and bent down, burying her head in. Wang Zimu suddenly knelt down as his eyes turned red, and he couldn't stop crying. It was said that men didn't cry easily, especially soldiers. He had been heavily injured that day, but he didn't shed a single tear. But today, he couldn't take the sadness in his heart. He was brought up by Du Jiuxing, and all the people in the Nine Souls troop around him were Du Jiuxing's closest people. They all stood straight with red eyes. They wanted to hold back their tears, but they still came out. Some brothers were forever, but they could still comfort each other. But what about her? What about her? She didn't know how long passed, and she didn't know how she got home. She only knew that when she got home, it was already past 2 in the morning. She hadn't been back to this house for a long time. Because she was too anxious when she came out, she didn't even bring the key to the hospital dormitory. It was too late, so she didn't want to disturb others. "Dr. Luo Yu, goodbye." Wang Zimu was the one who sent her back. She looked at him without any emotion in her eyes. He was as calm as a pool of water, and the light in his eyes was nothing but despair. Back in her room, she lay on her bed and stared at the ceiling. Suddenly, a question popped up in her mind. Why was it that no matter how hard she tried, it would always end up like this? She had already tried her best, but why? He didn't know how much time had passed, nor did he know how he fell asleep. His dreams were all nightmares. The scene of Liang Kai shooting Du Jiuxing kept repeating in her dream. She wanted to stop it, but she couldn't do a thing. The next day, the person who woke her up was none other than the daughter of White Rose, Bai Ning. Actually, because too many things had happened after meeting Du Jiuxing, she didn't have time to come home at all. Bai Ning said in a taunting voice to the previous host's little brother Luo Xingchen in the next room, "Why is there a strange smell in your room?" As expected, people who can't take a bath all year round will give off a stench. This chapter ends. Chapter 3700. In fact, Bai Ning often ridiculed Luo Xingchen. After all, she hated this pair of siblings to death. But at most, she only ridiculed them. She couldn't do anything else. Moreover, she wanted Luo Qingchen's heart, so she usually called Luo Qingchen sister. But when she wasn't around, she would bully Luo Xingchen from time to time. Luo Xingchen just closed his eyes. He didn't want to argue with someone like Bai Ning. Perhaps it was because Bai Ning was often ignored by Luo Xingchen, but at this moment, she couldn't bear it anymore. She raised her right hand abruptly, intending to slap Luo Xingchen across the face. Luo Qingchen quickly grabbed her wrist and forcefully pushed her away. Bai Ning's body wasn't good to begin with. She had a heart attack since she was young, so her body was especially weak. Luo Qingchen's push caused her to fall to the ground. Her face instantly turned pale. It's big sister, when did you come back? Bai Ning's face was very pale. She bit her lips and said, just now I saw a mosquito biting Xingchen. Whether it was to kill a mosquito or a person, I have eyes. I can see. Luo Qingchen walked step by step towards Bai Ning. She squatted down and said, I'm afraid there's something I need to tell you. I'm no longer the original Luo Qingchen. Bai Ning, I advise you not to provoke me or my brother. When Bai Ning heard this, her pale face changed again. Anger flashed in her eyes as she said, Luo Qingchen, what do you mean by this? Didn't I treat you well when you came to our house? Why did I hit Xingchen? Don't accuse me wrongly. Whether I've wronged you or not, you know very well in your heart. Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes. Her eyes were cold as she said, if you want me to be so straightforward, then I'll be more straightforward. If you provoke me again, I'll definitely kill you. Although Bai Ning usually didn't like Luo Qingchen, the two of them were at least on the surface. Now, they had torn apart all pretenses of cordiality for no reason. Bai Ning also felt very strange. Why did Luo Qingchen suddenly change? But with the temperament of a little princess, she couldn't back down when the other party blatantly declared war on her. After all, no matter what, this was still her home and her territory. What a joke. Luo Qingchen, this is the 21st century and you can kill people just because you want to. Do you really think that I? In the next second, she slapped Bai Ning's face without hesitation. Before she could react, her hand was already strangling her neck. At this moment, Luo Qingchen felt like she was a devil in hell. She really wanted to kill Bai Ning, then kill Fu Lin, kill everyone in this world who had let down the original owner, and then commit suicide. Anyway, Du Jiuxing wasn't here, so what if they found his corpse? She didn't want to go to his funeral. She didn't have the courage either. Bai Ning's face was getting redder, and her eyes were turning white. Luo Qingchen saw this scene and he was incomparably anxious as cold sweat appeared on his forehead. After that, he finally spoke after countless efforts. Big sister. Don't. In the blink of an eye, Luo Qingchen let go of Bai Ning's throat. She wildly coughed and kept panting, as she couldn't stop trembling. End of this chapter. Chapter 3701. Luo Qingchen suddenly turned to look at Luo Qingchen. He tightly gritted his teeth and seriously looked at her. Even if he didn't say anything, Luo Qingchen could tell what he wanted to say just by looking at his eyes. He didn't want her to kill Bai Ning. Of course it wasn't because he cared about Bai Ning, but rather because he didn't want her to leave him. Luo Qingchen closed her eyes and turned to Bai Ning. There is something else I want to tell you. Don't let your Fu Lin appear in front of me in this life. I'm very clear on the plans you have in your hearts. Ku. Bai Ning held her chest and said, What are you saying? I don't understand. Don't think about my heart. Luo Qingchen said with a cold laugh, Although you don't have many years left with your strength, you can't take my heart at all. I urge you to enjoy your years of life and don't make any small moves. Otherwise, I will definitely let you see the king of hell ahead of time. It was probably because she had just walked through the gates of hell, but every word Luo Qingchen said made her hairs stand on end. All her future plans didn't exist in her mind. She just wanted to leave her side as soon as possible. Leave this demon. After a few seconds, Bai Ning took a deep breath and stood up with difficulty before running out the door. When she was safe enough in her room, there was a trace of anger and hatred on her face that was filled with fear. White Rose and Luo Yi had gone on a trip, so she didn't have her mother to support her. The shame Luo Qingchen gave her today, she would definitely pay it back. Moreover, since she already knew that she wanted her heart, it would be easy to drag this matter out. The next second, she called Fu Lin and planned to carry out all the plans in one way. She definitely had to succeed because she knew that she didn't have much time left to live. At the same time, in the High Green Gang's private medical clinic, Du Jiuxing was lying in bed with various instruments inserted into his body, and there was a thick gauze wrapped around his head. The life detector placed beside the bed showed that all the values were gradually stabilizing. When Liang Kai fired the gun, she had been distracted by her side profile, and the angle of the gun was a little off. A soldier was supposed to risk their lives to protect the safety of the people. This was his responsibility and mission. He had become a hostage because she had no other choice. She had shot him because she had been blinded by anger. It was a good thing that when Liang Fangfang came in, she immediately found a way to bring Du Jiuxing to the clinic. The bullet did not stay in the head. It passed through the forehead and flew out, so it did not cause immediate brain death. At noon, Du Jiuxing knit his brows and slowly opened his eyes. He had a dream. In the dream, it was a beautiful place. Everyone was wearing white robes and holding the same sword in their hands. It was as if they were in a place that was detached from reality. Luo Qingchen was also there. She gave him a faint smile, and her eyes flashed like stars. She looked at him and said, "Master, shouldn't we eat lunch?" The dream quickly ended. He took off the respirator and looked around. The pain from his head made him slightly knit his brows. At this time, Liang Fangfang came in with a bouquet of flowers in her hand. Seeing him sit up, she said in a surprised voice, You're actually awake. Toothache. End of this chapter. Chapter 3702. Du Jiuxing knit his brows and gave a snort. Where is this place? Liang Fangfang took a deep breath and put down the flowers in her hand. I'll call the doctor immediately. No need to call the doctor. Du Jiuxing pulled out the tube in his hand. Your mother didn't hesitate to kill me and save me. What does she want to do? He didn't have time to stay here. Whether it was in his mind or in his heart, there was only one person. Therefore, he just wanted to know the result as soon as possible and see if he could leave this place. You can't pull out the tube. Liang Fangfang nervously said, You're seriously injured. The doctor said that they didn't know when you would wake up, but no one thought that you would wake up in just a day. Young Miss Liang. Coo. Du Jiuxing gave 2 coughs. Compared to the doctor, I want to see your mother. Although his voice was the same as before, Liang Fangfang could tell that he was trying his best to support his body. Towards Du Jiuxing, she had an indescribable feeling. For a moment, he seemed to have the responsibility of a soldier that intimidated her. It wasn't love, perhaps it wasn't like, she just felt that this man was very outstanding. But his heart was filled with other things. Perhaps it was the country, or perhaps it was someone else. Silence, a period of silence. After a while, Liang Fangfang softly bit her lip and looked at him with sparkling eyes. Are you in a rush to report back to the army? Du Jiuxing was a bit surprised. He always thought that Liang Fangfang was his enemy. So in this situation, he only wanted to know the result. Could he leave or couldn't he leave? Under what conditions could he leave? In fact, the moment he opened his eyes, he suddenly had a particularly evil thought. It would betray his honor and duty as a soldier. He had always believed that it was his duty to protect the people. Whether that person was a good person or a bad person, even if they were a bad person, they should be punished by the law. This was the duty that he had kept in the army for over 20 years. But now, he had changed. There was an evil thought that flashed in his mind. If Liang Kai's condition was for him to kill Du Bokong, he would have agreed. Because there was no one in this world who could understand his feelings at that moment. The bullet passed through his forehead and everything turned dark. He really wanted to open his eyes, protect the promise between them, and fulfill their dreams. But at that moment, he felt so powerless. He really wanted to be selfish for once, to give up his identity as Major Du and live for himself. Without knowing how long passed, Du Jiuxing slowly looked up. There was a faint sparkle in his deep eyes as he looked at Liang Fangfang. I have a very important person waiting for me. This person was more important than his own life. Without knowing why, when Du Jiuxing said this, Liang Fangfang's heart strangely felt a bit sad. This feeling lingered in her heart. She couldn't explain it clearly, but it wouldn't go away for a long time. Liang Fangfang looked at him and the corners of her mouth twitched. She revealed a somewhat helpless smile and said, "My mother said that if you are lucky enough to wake up, she will let you go." Really? There was doubt in Du Jiuxing's eyes, but there was more joy. But she will still kill Du Bakong, no matter what method she uses. Liang Fangfang looked at him seriously and said, "Major Du, that kind of man is not worth your life." End of chapter. Chapter 3703. After a while, Du Jiuxing gave a slight nod. "I understand." As soon as his voice fell, he stood up with difficulty. Liang Fangfang quickly turned to take out a new shirt from the wardrobe. "I don't know if it fits or not, but we have bodyguard uniforms and your original shirt is covered in blood." Du Jiuxing thought about it before taking the shirt. "Thank you." After that, he turned to walk out the door. When he opened the door, he slowly said in a deep voice, "Next time, if you want to kill him, I won't stop you." He never thought that his thoughts would change this much. Perhaps no one in this world was a saint and he wanted to be selfish for once. Since the Hai Qin gang wasn't in a city and Du Jiuxing didn't have any documents, it took a bit of time to go back. At the same time, Bai Ning and Fu Lin had already thought of a plan. They used the time when Luo Qingchen was in the hospital to take Luo Xingchen away. First, she had been bullied by Luo Qingchen that day, so her heart couldn't calm down. As a pampered little princess, she naturally wanted to take revenge, otherwise she wouldn't be willing in this life. Second, the Bai family's private doctor had told her that if Luo Qingchen's heart could match hers, it was very likely that her little brother would be able to as well. Fu Lin had proposed to take Luo Xingchen away and not admit it. As for the doctor, with their status, as long as they had money, there were many doctors who could do this. Bai Ning naturally knew that Luo Qingchen went to the hospital every day, so she couldn't take her Luo Xingchen since he was in a vegetative state. The Bai family had provided him with food and clothes over the years, even hiring a private nanny for him. It was time for him to repay the Bai family. She didn't need anything expensive, she just needed Luo Xingchen's heart. Actually, this was a kind of relief for Luo Xingchen. After all, a vegetative person didn't have any value. But what Bai Ning didn't know was that Luo Qingchen had placed a tracking device on Luo Xingchen, afraid that Bai Ning would make a move against Luo Xingchen. In this world, it seemed that other than Luo Xingchen, there was no one else she needed to protect. In fact, she also had a plan in mind. She wanted to find a way to kill Bai Ning and Fu Lin without implicating Luo Xingchen. These two people, no matter when and where, were like ticking time bombs. But because of the matter with Du Jiuxing, her mind had been restless. She wanted to commit suicide and leave, but she still had Luo Xingchen to hold her back. However, she also knew that sooner or later, Bai Ning would find out that Luo Xingchen's heart was compatible with hers. When that time came, she would definitely take action. However, she did not expect her to act so quickly. Actually, she had already applied for leave from the hospital for the past few days and had not gone to work. Instead, she had stayed in the dormitory to come up with a plan for Bai Ning and Fu Lin. Here, she didn't have any superpowers, so an alibi was very important. However, before her plan was complete, the tracker she had placed on Luo Xingchen's body was already moving quickly. She picked up her clothes almost immediately and headed downstairs. When he walked out of the door, he bumped into Jewel. "Qingchen, where are you going?" Luo Qingchen glanced at the location of the mobile phone tracker and said, "Southernmost." Jewel naturally didn't understand what Luo Qingchen was saying, but Luo Qingchen didn't deliberately say it for her to hear. It was just that he was thinking about it in his head while he was talking to himself. End of this chapter. Chapter 3704. The car that took Luo Xingchen headed south. Luo Qingchen chased after it, but she found that the other side didn't plan on stopping at all, and the car kept moving. The car drove for an entire day and night before finally stopping 900 kilometers away from a city. Luo Qingchen looked at the GPS and the car stopped at a place called Bison Medical Center. City, a very remote place. After she determined the location, she immediately called the police and parked the car in an inconspicuous place. It had already been 20 minutes since Luo Xingchen's tracking device stopped moving. Actually, Luo Qingchen wasn't that nervous. It was probably because Du Jiuxing was dead, and if she couldn't save the previous host's little brother even after using all her strength, she really had no other way. Thinking of this, Luo Qingchen couldn't help thinking, if the system was here, it would definitely say that she wasn't serious about her mission and was in a negative state. But even if she was in a negative state, what could she do? It was like she worked hard, used all her strength, and was very active, so everything would go her way. Since it was the same, what could she do? He could only do what was within his power. After Luo Qingchen parked the car, she looked around with binoculars. Although this was a very cheap place, this Bison Medical Center was quite luxurious. Just the area was 2 to 3 times bigger than the largest hospital in a city. It wasn't a hospital and it was this far from the city. Who gave them enough money to keep operating this medical center? Luo Qingchen used her abilities as an agent. Although she didn't have any powers, she still successfully swapped clothes with someone else and entered the center. The medical center here was very large, and every room seemed to be fully automated. Luo Xingchen's location was very strange, it was like he was in a deeper place. But after looking around twice, she couldn't find a path that led to this place. There seemed to be a hallway between them. It seemed very close, but she would never be able to reach him. Luo Qingchen slightly knit her brows and looked around the walls. After looking around for around 10 minutes, all the lights in the Bison Medical Center lit up. What brings you here so late at night? The one who spoke was a middle-aged man with gold-rimmed glasses. He was smoking a cigar, but he was wearing a dark red tang suit. This place was indeed very high-tech. She felt that she was already careful enough, but she was still discovered. However, this was not a big deal. She hadn't found the exit to the back of the wall. Wasn't the appearance of this man in Tang Dynasty costume just to show her the way? In the next second, the corner of Luo Qingchen's mouth outlined a very faint smile, and she jumped to Red Tiger's side. Just as he was about to attack him, the other party nimbly dodged. It seems that you have also practiced. Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes and said, unfortunately, in my eyes, you are still a defeated opponent. As soon as her voice fell, Luo Qingchen turned sideways and attacked Red Tiger's exposed fatal position. Red Tiger's skill was already good, but it was obvious that Luo Qingchen's skill was faster than his. After a few exchanges, Red Tiger was completely subdued by Luo Qingchen. The people wearing white coats looked at each other. Red Tiger seemed to have lost some face and growled, "Just now doesn't count, let's start again." End of chapter. Chapter 3705. I'm sorry. Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes and said, I'm not here to fight with you. Since I'm an assassin, it means that there's someone I want to kill here. Red Tiger's neck was strangled by Luo Qingchen. He had some difficulty breathing. He fiercely looked at the doctor wearing a white coat next to him. But the other side lowered his head and didn't say a word. What do you want to do? Red Tiger thought that his skill was very good, but he didn't expect to be defeated like this. Tonight, did a group of people come to this medical center with a vegetative teenager? She asked very directly. Red Tiger's face changed in an instant, but he still shook his head and said, No. Are you sure? The next second, she tightened her grip on his neck and said, I have a bad temper. If you don't hand him over, don't blame me for being impolite. Where do you think this is? Red Tiger said seriously. This is a place where the powerful people recuperate. If you mess around again, don't blame me. Call the police? Luo Qingchen's mouth slightly moved, revealing a faint smile. Yes. Red Tiger nodded and said, Don't blame me for calling the police. I've already called the police. Luo Qingchen sneered and said, I advise you not to get involved in this muddy water. Red Tiger froze for a moment, but his expression didn't show much panic. Instead, he whispered in Luo Qingchen's ear, Little girl, I also advise you that there are some places you shouldn't come to, some people you shouldn't kill, and even some people you shouldn't save. Good. Luo Qingchen's cold eyes narrowed. In that case, I'll send you to see the King of Hell first. The next second, she forcefully strangled Red Tiger's neck. In less than a few seconds, his whole face instantly turned red. Seemingly feeling that the other party really wanted to kill him, Red Tiger opened his mouth with difficulty. I'll talk. In an instant, Luo Qingchen released her hand. The man coughed and said, Since you don't want to live anymore, I won't stop you. There's a button on the second floor near the cross on the right. Press it and you'll go where you want to go. Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes, let go of his neck, and ran to the second floor. Little did she know that the old man in a white coat standing behind Red Tiger looked at her and said, Miss, don't go. Once you enter that place, you'll— Shut up, old man. Red Tiger coldly snorted and said, Originally, I thought it would be a pity for her to go, but I didn't expect that I almost went to the King of Hell's palace before her. Hurry up and go. Luo Qingchen did not respond to Red Tiger. Instead, she looked at the old man and said, I have a very important person to look for. As soon as she finished speaking, she went to the second floor and pressed the button. In fact, everyone in the Beisun Medical Center knew that once someone entered the door, there was no way out. At least until now, no one had come out. Moreover, the police in this area were all in cahoots with them. After walking through a very dark passage, Luo Qingchen stood at a high place that was as high as a 3-story building. At this time, there was a large transparent medical operating room under her feet. There were some operating rooms that were performing surgeries and some that were cultivating donors. She stood there for less than 3 seconds before an alarm went off at her location. High-temperature infrared rays came from all directions. Luo Qingchen knit her brows and skillfully dodged all the attacks. But at the same time, it attracted everyone's attention. She was in the crowd and saw Bai Ning and Fu Lin. High energy ahead. This story was very touching when it was written. My big brother Jiu Xing is so pitiful. End of this chapter. Chapter 3706. They were all stunned. Bai Ning's face instantly turned pale. She never would have thought that Luo Qingchen would come here. Fu Lin tightly grabbed her hand and said, Don't be nervous, since she's here to die, we can only help her. Think about it, it's easy to reject a heart transplant. We can use her heart first, and then we can use the heart of Luo Qingchen, who is in a vegetative state. Although Fu Lin's heart was filled with panic, his mind quickly turned. This place wasn't a place normal people could come in because there were too many secrets hidden here. He didn't need to make a move at all. The people here definitely wouldn't let Luo Qingchen who came in. Who are you? You dare come in? The leader took out a gun from behind him. You're not allowed to come forward, otherwise I'll shoot. As soon as his voice fell, he looked at the security guards in all directions. Catch her. Without knowing why, Luo Qingchen felt that her heart was filled with killing intent and destruction. Since everyone liked her and Du Jio's life and death, it was a good thing that the people of this world died first. Even if she didn't have any powers, Du Jiu Sheng was no longer in this world, so no one could stop her from doing anything. Even if she went to hell, these people would all be buried with her. Anyway, she wasn't even afraid of death now, so what was there to be afraid of? Then you have to have the skills. Luo Qingchen narrowed her cold eyes. She jumped out and jumped over the infrared detectors, reaching the first floor. There were beads of sweat on her forehead. She could move with ease, But the previous host's body wasn't that good. After all, without a body like hers, her body couldn't keep up with her mind for such a difficult dodge. Purring, purring. The man in the white coat fired without any hesitation. This proved that the people here weren't simple. Everyone's hands were stained with blood. The death of one or two people didn't matter to them. Luo Qingchen raised her brows as she stared right at the man who fired the gun. If her guesses weren't wrong, this man should be the one with the most weight here. To catch bandits, first catch the king. How could she not understand this? But to catch the king, it was impossible for her to escape without any powers. But so what? She had never thought of escaping unscathed. Killing all the bad guys and protecting Luo Qingchen as much as possible was the last thing she wanted to do in this world. A group of people looked at her. Seeing her jump down to the first floor with such good skills, everyone was stunned. But in the next second, they rushed towards her with all their might, trying to catch her. The bullets flew past her ear. Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes and a cold smile appeared on her face. At the moment when the last bullet brushed past her arm, her right hand grabbed the leader's neck. The wound hurt a little, but compared to the sadness in her heart, this kind of pain had no effect on her. The Black Panther was shocked and immediately said, "Little girl, calm down. A total of 5 bullets, except for the last one that brushed past her arm, the rest of the bullets missed." When he fired the 5th shot, he thought that he would definitely hit his opponent at such a close distance. But what he didn't expect was that the other party seemed to have calculated the path he was going to shoot. The moment he pulled the trigger, her body leaned slightly to the side. End of chapter. Chapter 3707. No one would have thought that Luo Qingchen would take He Bao hostage. The bodyguards around them also stopped in their tracks, not daring to take a step forward. "Luo Qingchen, are you crazy? I'm warning you, don't do anything rash. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death." Bai Ning's voice was very sharp and ear-piercing. She really didn't like this kind of voice. Luo Qingchen took the gun from Black Panther's hand. With one hand still around Black Panther's neck, she slowly raised her other hand and fired a shot in Bai Ning's direction. She didn't hit her heart, but her thigh. At this moment, other than Bai Ning's miserable scream, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This young lady who looked to be in her 20s actually fired without hesitation. Moreover, her expression didn't change at all after firing the gun. It was as if she had never pulled the trigger and fired the gun. Fu Lin's eyes popped out as he looked at Luo Qingchen in horror. The corners of her lips curled up into an extremely cold smile as she said calmly, "This gun has a total of 7 bullets. Just now, this man used 5 on me. I shot one on Bai Ning, so there should be 1 more bullet in it now." "You? What are you trying to say?" Fu Lin's voice trembled a little. He felt that his voice was different from usual. "Since you two are so loving, why don't I let you choose yourselves?" Luo Qingchen sneered and said, "Let's see if you're willing to die for each other or if you want each other to die." In the next second, Fu Lin blurted out almost without thinking, "I don't want to die. This has nothing to do with me." At this moment, Bai Ning endured the pain and looked up at Fu Lin with widened eyes. "How can you say such a thing? This idea was clearly yours. What does it have to do with me? What right do you have to push me to my death? Am I funny?" Fu Lin didn't forget to immediately defend himself. "Is there a problem with your heart or mine? I've already helped you so much, and you still want me to die for you? Should I say that my good intentions were taken as ill intent, or are you burning the bridge after crossing the river?" Fu Lin's words were reasonable and there was nothing wrong with them at all. Bai Ning couldn't say anything against him and could only cry. The man who had always said that he loved her and would give up everything for her. But now, he had turned hostile just like that. He wasn't even willing to die for her. She was really blind to be with such a man. "I don't care." Bai Ning was on the verge of breaking down. She scratched her head and said, You've already fired at me. Now you should fire at him. Isn't that only fair?" "Why, Why did she have to suffer alone? She had suffered enough since she was young. Why did she have to suffer now? Bai Ning, do you know? Luo Qingchen sneered. I suddenly feel that of all the words you have said in your life, only this sentence is the most useful. As soon as her voice fell, Luo Qingchen fired a shot in Fu Lin's direction without hesitation. This time, she didn't choose to shoot anywhere else on Fu Lin's body. Instead, she shot at his head. Her marksmanship was very accurate. There was no way Fu Lin could survive. Blood spurted out instantly. Fu Lin's head didn't seem to have reacted at all when his body fell straight down. End of chapter. Chapter 3708. Suddenly, there was a burst of loud screams around. There was Bai Ning's voice, as well as other people's voices. They instantly retreated. Even the bodyguards who had been trying to get close to Luo Qingchen hurriedly retreated a few steps away from her after she fired the gun. It was really terrible. The interval between her first shot and the second shot was less than a minute. But she didn't seem to be afraid at all, as if killing a person was normal for her. What's wrong? Luo Qingchen's cold eyes narrowed, and her voice was cold. She glanced at the people present and said, Do you think I'm terrible? Do you think I'm like a devil? Do you think I kill people without batting an eye? Silence, silence, complete silence. Even though Luo Qingchen's pistol was now loaded, they still felt fear in their hearts. Therefore, they didn't dare to say a word. A few seconds later, Luo Qingchen snorted and continued, You must have done a lot more evil things in this hospital than I did. When she said this, she still looked calm on the surface, but she was a little excited. Therefore, she tightened her grip on He Bao's neck. His face was red and he struggled to say, Calm down, little girl, calm down, don't use force, don't use force. At this time, He Bao was afraid that Luo Qingchen would break his neck if she used force. He didn't expect her to be so strong at such a young age, as if she could kill him in minutes. Let go of my brother. Her voice was very cold, and her eyes flashed with coldness. She said, You come with me, and when my brother is safe, I will naturally. No one can leave. The next second, the large hidden operating room was opened. A woman in a cheongsam, who looked about 40 years old, came in. Dean. He Bao was a little nervous, and he stuttered. This so-called Dean was called Jiao. Although she looked about 40 years old, she gave people a different feeling. Little girl, if you want to kill him, just kill him. Jiao took off her coat and sat on the sofa. She crossed her legs and lit a cigarette. Except for the boss, no one who comes in can leave. Don't. Dean, you have to save me. Black Panther cried. I'm willing to be your slave in my next life. I have enough cows and horses. Jiao suddenly took a puff of her cigarette and said, I don't need you. Luo Qingchen frowned. Looking at Jiao's calm expression, her clear eyes trembled slightly as she asked, Are you really going to let me kill him? I can leave 3 corpses here, but I can't let 3 living people out. Jiao puffed out the smoke and said, Little girl, you can stay here and accompany me. Big sister needs talents like you here. Let my brother go. Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes and said, He will only be a burden to you if he stays. There is no need. No. Jiao chuckled. Impossible. Both sides were in a deadlock. Luo Qingchen frowned, her eyes cold and dangerous. Her only way now was to hold this woman called Jiao hostage. Otherwise, she wouldn't have a chance to stay here. You don't have to think of a way. This place is full of my people. Even the police station is my people. You can't leave. Jiao finished smoking her cigarette and said to her subordinate, Don't care about He Bao's life or death. Capture her and don't care about her life or death. End of chapter. Chapter 3709. At that moment, everyone took out their guns. Luo Qingchen knit her brows even tighter. With the current situation, it wouldn't be easy for her to leave here alive. But what was the difference between life and death? There were some things as long as you tried your best, why be too stubborn? Sometimes she couldn't help thinking that perhaps Du Jiuxing's appearance was to tell her that life was filled with sorrow and helplessness. For her, she wouldn't meet scum and wouldn't be deceived. But what she got in exchange for was a life and death separation that most couples in this world wouldn't experience. She hated this kind of life and death, hated this kind of separation, hated the injustice of the world, but she hated her own incompetence the most. If she could be stronger, if she could have powers in this special world, perhaps her and Du Jiuxing's ending would be completely different. Purring, purring. Before she could sigh, there were 2 gunshots. One of them missed and the other hit He Bao's stomach. He cried out in pain and Luo Qingchen let go of him, quickly finding cover as quickly as possible. Everyone's transparent operating rooms should have things that the important patients needed, so if she couldn't kidnap Jiao Jiao, she could kidnap these people. As expected, when she approached one of the operating rooms, Jiao Jiao knit her brows for the first time and muttered, "Slow down." The one lying in the operating room wasn't someone else, it was someone who could save her father. Her father had a very serious liver cirrhosis that couldn't be cured with any medicine. The only thing that could save her father was the liver in this person's body. A liver transplant was a major operation. There were very few people who could be perfectly matched. When she said these words, Luo Qingchen's lips curled into a cold smile. She wanted to use her hand to open the glass door, but she found that the door was made of a special material that couldn't be opened with her bare hands. Jiao Jiao saw this and immediately took out a silver pistol from her boot, firing a shot at Luo Qingchen. This shot was very accurate. There were people around her who had guns pointed at her, so even if she could dodge this shot, she might not be able to dodge the next one. But that was fine since Big Brother Jiuxing was no longer here. In this world, there was no meaning at all in struggling at death's door. She closed her eyes and decided to stop here. Little did she know that in the next second, she only heard another gunshot, but her body did not feel any pain. In an instant, she opened her eyes and saw 9 people in military green camouflage uniforms descending from the sky. Each of them was fully armed and had machine guns in their hands. "Who is it?" Jiao Jiao's eyes widened. She suddenly stood up and shouted, "Where's the security system?" The man standing beside her, who looked like a refined scum, immediately took out his laptop and began to check. A few seconds later, he said in shock, "All the security systems have been destroyed." In just a few seconds, the 9 soldiers in camouflage uniforms lined up in a row and walked steadily in her direction. The one standing in the middle was no one else but Du Jiuxing. In the next second, 2 impassioned voices sounded at the same time, carrying the courage of a soldier and a certain someone's deep affection. The National Defense Special Division's 9 Souls team's plan to rescue the team leader's wife has been officially launched. We are waiting for Major Du's orders at any time. *****. Good night. This chapter ends. Chapter 37:10. At that moment, Luo Qingchen felt that her dark world had suddenly lit up. It was like a ray of light pierced through the fog and shined into her heart. She closed her eyes and her tears fell down. This was the first time in a long time that she felt that the heavens were looking after her. It wasn't the only thing left. "So we'll follow the plan." Du Jiuxing looked at her and his lips curled into a gentle smile. "Captain's wife, the captain is here to save you." What kind of team was the 9 souls? How could the people in the infirmary be their match? Not to mention guns, even cannons wouldn't be enough. Du Jiuxing walked to her side step by step. His head was still wrapped in gauze and his face was a bit pale. But the strength that suddenly pulled her into his embrace made her feel like she was suffocating. Du Jiuxing! She bit her lip and almost cried out his name, Du Jiuxing, Du Jiuxing, Du Jiuxing. It didn't matter who said that she wasn't strong, it didn't matter who said that she wasn't brave enough, it didn't matter who said that she was being unreasonable in this situation. She just knew that Du Jiuxing's hug had broken all the defenses in her heart. There was no one in this world that could understand her current feelings. There were times when she couldn't help thinking or asking, when would this endless feeling come to an end? But at this moment she seemed to have seen the end. At least the heavens could pity her, giving her a pleasant surprise and a sense of expectation. Yes, I'm here. His deep voice was gentle and doting, giving her a sense of security. Is it really you? At this moment she still felt that it was hard to believe. His heart was still thumping uncontrollably. Yes. He slowly said, I've said it before, for you, I won't fall no matter how hard it is. This was his promise to her, a promise that he would never fall. Luo Qingchen didn't say anything, she just hid in his embrace and desperately nodded. His coat had a very strange smell. Even if she didn't breathe and buried her head in it, there was a strange sense of security. After around 5 minutes, the gunshots stopped. Wang Zimu came forward and gave a military salute, reporting to the captain, everyone has been subdued. It's been hard on you. Du Jiuxing softly patted her head before letting her go. Everyone, move everything to the base. You can't move. Jiao 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 roared. Do you know whose heart it is? I know. Du Jiuxing said with a cold smile. I came with his permission. I'm a special national defense troop under his direct command, Du Jiuxing. How is that possible? Jiao Jiao's eyes filled with shock. Jiao Jiao, Jiao 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 Jiao, Jiao 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 said, Jiao of the Jiao Jiao. Du Jiuxing narrowed his cold eyes. The one who gave this order definitely wasn't him. If he knew that his heart would be used to dig out a living person's heart, he wouldn't do this even if he died. You are lying. I understand him better than you. He. Impossible, how can you understand him just because you say so? You're harming our country like this. Because his surname is Du Jiuxing paused before continuing, it's a coincidence that I'm the same. End of this chapter. Chapter 37:11. Hiss. Everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air. Du Jiuxing had never said this in public before, and other than Wang Zimu, no one in the army knew his identity. You, take her away. As soon as his voice fell, he took Luo Qingchen's hand and without saying anything else, he walked out the door. It was a good thing he made it in time. After coming back from H-City, he immediately reported to the army before stepping on the accelerator to head to the hospital. Xiao Yu said that she said something about going south in a panic before driving away. It had been 2 hours since she left and he felt strangely unsettled, so he directly found the location of her car. However, she never thought that at this moment, her car had already left City A and was still heading south. Du Jiuxing felt that something was wrong, so he gathered everyone in the Nine Souls team and chased after her. As for how he learned about the situation here, he learned it from the police at the door. This Beisun Medical Center was used for medical research, but it was actually used for trading donors. Normally speaking, if someone needed a cornea, they would line up at the hospital and wait for a cornea donation. The donors were usually the family members of those who died in accidents or those who were seriously ill. But this place was different. The so-called donors here were all living donors. Because of the needs of rich, powerful, and influential people, they directly used living people as donors for organ transplant. This was a very cruel and dark place. Du Jiuxing directly called someone to get permission before charging in. Someone only said one thing, the Iron Blood Army is doing this, it must be for a woman. He didn't reply and hung up. When he returned to the Nine Souls team, he received some good news. He had found a volunteer for a certain person's organ. He revealed a faint smile, perhaps the heavens really were fair. It closed all the doors, but it would definitely open a window for you. 2 hours after returning to the army, everything was over. Luo Qingchen pulled Du Jiuxing to the hospital and let him into the VIP room in her name. Her little brother Luo Xingchen was in the next room. From this moment on, Major Du, you are my patient. Luo Qingchen, who was sitting beside him, blinked her eyes and said, You can't leave until all the examinations are done. Understood. Du Jiuxing gave a military salute. After all, I have to obey Dr. Luo's orders. Luo Qingchen couldn't help but laugh. Then, as if she suddenly remembered something, she looked at him and said, 2 days ago, when we were in Baizen, you also fired a gun, right? She knew that he had fired when he was holding her, but as a soldier, he usually fired in that kind of situation to intimidate the other party. He would not casually injure or kill anyone. But Luo Qingchen knew that only one person died in the huge medical center at that time. This person was none other than Bai Ning. However, she was in his arms the entire time with her eyes closed, so she didn't know who shot Bai Ning. But she felt that it was him. Although it was just a feeling, she believed in her feelings. Yes, I also fired. Du Jiuxing didn't hide anything as he looked at her and said, I killed her. End of this chapter. Chapter 37:12. Just 5 short words. Luo Qingchen felt that it wasn't easy for a man who had lived for so many years and only had one belief in his heart. He existed to protect the people. Even if the other side was a bad person, he would use all his strength, even using his own life to protect the other side. But now, he had killed a person for Luo Qingchen. In the past, in his eyes, she might have been a weak woman who could not even trust a chicken. Big Brother Jiuxing, will you regret it? Would he regret killing a person for a person? Du Jiuxing was silent for a long time. Luo Qingchen didn't know if he was looking for an excuse or if he was organizing his words. But the words he said made her feel moved. I don't know if my future self can always be by your side. He paused a bit before continuing, but I have to help you get rid of all the obstacles in front of you. Those people who want to harm you, I won't let them live. As for the relationship between Bai Ning and Fu Lin, as well as the matter of Bai Ning kidnapping Luo Qingchen, he had already investigated everything on the way to Beisun Medical Center. This kind of person would always be a disaster. He definitely couldn't let them become a time bomb by Luo Qingchen's side. No. Luo Qingchen heard this and took a deep breath before saying, Big Brother Jiuxing's words aren't right. What's wrong? She put her hands in his and seriously said word for word, You will always, always, always be by my side. Since the heavens had given him back to her when she was in despair, they had already passed this difficult time. Perhaps there was only happiness left in the future. The next second, he reached out and interlocked his fingers with hers. You will. As long as I think of you, I will tell myself that no matter how hard it is, I can't fall down. You can't fall down. All right. She said with a slight nod. The exquisite ring will help me watch Big Brother Jiuxing. He looked at the ring on his little finger with a faint smile. The feeling of being watched isn't bad. At that time, Luo Qingchen would never have thought that their conversation would be so closely related to the future outcome. Sometimes, perhaps collapsing was a form of relief. After Du Jiuxing went to the hospital for a full body check, all the doctors in the hospital sighed at his recovery ability. The bullet had passed through his head, and it was already a miracle that he could survive, but Du Jiuxing's recovery ability was this shocking. Not to mention the other organs in his body, even his brain was not affected at all. His IQ was as high as 120 during the test. Everyone sighed. He was simply inhuman. Of course, while sighing, the nurses in the hospital would occasionally look at Du Jiuxing with fangirls, but they were all fiercely glared at by Luo Qingchen. Everyone knew that Du Jiuxing was taken, so they could only silently watch in the middle of the night. Occasionally, he would deliver water, snacks, and secretly take a few photos. Because the hospital was Luo Qingchen's territory, he didn't reject them and waited for her to find out the next day. Each time, Luo Qingchen would eat all the snacks in front of him before shouting, Give it to me, I don't get fat no matter how much I eat, I can still eat. But in fact, Du Jiuxing had been in the hospital for half a month and Luo Qingchen had gained 5 pounds. It wasn't exaggerated, life was just that real. This chapter ends. Chapter 37:13. Because of Bai Ning's death, White Rose was heartbroken. But the police concluded that she was involved in the illegal trade of human organs and died in a gunfight. She knew that her daughter wanted Luo Xingchen's heart and knew that it was Luo Qingchen who called the police. Once there was estrangement in a second-generation family, there were many things that couldn't be treated as if nothing had happened. White Rose and Luo Yi divorced. After Bai Ning died, White Rose's mental state wasn't good. Luo Yi still loved her and was afraid that her mental state would become worse, so he agreed to her divorce. Actually, before that, Luo Qingchen and Luo Xingchen had never returned to that home. There was an inexplicable sense of ridicule when mentioning the word home, because they had never been family. Luo Qingchen didn't go to Bai Ning's funeral. Luo Yi felt that she wasn't responsible and didn't contact her for a long time. Actually, she could understand her father's feelings. But he didn't know that if the one alive today was Bai Ning, this funeral would have been hers and Luo Xingchen's. Of course, she didn't tell Luo Yi about this. They were already half dead, so why did he need to know about this dark disturbance? But when Luo Qingchen felt that her life was gradually calming down, that person who was like a nightmare appeared. James. It said that he had already obtained the S-blood and was currently on Mount Algae in sea country that was very close to the equator. This mountain was over 6,000 meters above sea level, so there would definitely be a lack of oxygen. There were a total of 5 teams from the Special Forces and one of them was the 9 Souls. Du Jiuxing came to the hospital to pick her up from work before the mission. This kind of soldier who was busy every day came to pick her up on time, so she knew that something must have happened. "Where are you going this time?" Luo Qingchen saw that he was wearing his military uniform and was fully equipped, so she felt unsettled. "Sea country." Du Jiuxing narrowed his eyes. "The mission is to take back the S-blood." "James?" Luo Qingchen was surprised. This person was too deep in her mind. He was definitely a dangerous person. "Yes." "So where's Wang Wei?" Ever since that day, Wang Wei never appeared again. No one knew where he went, but one thing was for sure. He must have hidden somewhere. "We thought that he was hiding at first," Du Jiuxing said. "Now it seems like he should have been killed." According to reliable sources, S-blood was in James' hands, which meant that James had found Wang Wei before them. Once a person lost his value, there was no need for him to exist. "How many people are going this time? Isn't it dangerous?" Luo Qingchen pursed her lips. "Can I not go?" "Qingchen." Du Jiuxing raised his hand to softly touch her cheek. "This is my last mission." When this mission was over, he would have the opportunity to step down from his position as a major and become an ordinary person. He was filial to his parents and protected his wife. They would get married, have many children, build a small house by the sea, and spend the rest of their lives romantically. Because of this thought, he felt that he was full of strength. "Really?" "Yes," Du Jiuxing said with a smile. "Moreover, there are many people going this time. Because it's very important, even General Yi will be going, so you don't need to worry." "I've seen James before, how could I not be worried? That kind of person who didn't care about people's lives, as long as she thought about it, she would be terrified." Du Jiuxing thought about it before saying, "Then I'll be a coward and hide in the back. I wanted to write a fake ending, ha ha." End of chapter. Chapter 37:14. Then it's a promise. Luo Qingchen raised her hand and made a beckoning gesture. "Major Du, you have to be a coward no matter what, don't make me worry." "All right." He nodded and a faint light flashed in his eyes as he looked at her and said, "Then I'll be leaving first. I left a gift at my house, this is the key, go get it after you get off work." "Gift?" Luo Qingchen took the key and said, "The old-fashioned military commander also knows how to give people gifts." Actually, she hadn't reacted yet. A certain major was giving her a gift while secretly giving her a key. When she took the key, there was no need to mention how happy he was in his heart. "I have to turn off my phone later, I can't keep receiving calls, so I have to take care of myself. Du Jiuxing seriously said, once the mission is over, I will call you, don't wait. Luo Qingchen's lips curled into a faint smile as she said, since you know that I will wait no matter what. You can't. Du Jiuxing said in a gentle and low voice, you have to obey my orders. I don't want that. Luo Qingchen looked over and said, I'm not your subordinate. But my wife. This was the most shameless thing he had ever said in his life. So when he said it, his face turned red all the way to his ears. Coo. Luo Qingchen cleared her throat and said, Major Du, you have to pay attention to your words, it should be future wife, to be more accurate. Can't it be ahead of time? He revealed a faint smile, that way I'll have more motivation. No. Luo Qingchen said, you can't have more motivation, didn't we agree to be cowards? Alright. Du Jiuxing looked at the time and said, then when I come back, we'll remove the word future, alright? Alright. She pursed her lips and came forward to hug him. Promise me you have to come back safely, alright? Relax. Du Jiuxing took his hands back and hugged her even tighter. I'm not willing, so I won't fall. Luo Qingchen closed her eyes and nodded vigorously in his arms. She really hoped that this matter would end quickly. She really hoped that everything would go according to her plan. Du Jiuxing turned off his phone that night. He sent her one last text, which only had those 3 very vulgar words. But Luo Qingchen knew that those 3 words were the promise he gave her in this life. At 10 at night, she drove over with the keys to Du Jiuxing's apartment after the operation. He had been to her apartment once before, but he just stood at the door and did not go in. That time, he seemed to have forgotten to bring his car keys, so he went back to get them. And the second time, she actually entered his house alone. Click. The moment the key was opened, Luo Qingchen felt inexplicably nervous. There was a sweet smell in the air. She wanted to press her hand to the side, but when the light came on, her eyes turned red. The room was filled with balloons and there was a 5-layer cake on the table in the living room. There was a small house at the top of the cake and there were 2 little people dressed in rural clothes. Luo Qingchen pursed her lips into a smile as her heart couldn't help feeling moved. This kind of man who didn't understand romance was carefully doing this kind of thing. How much did he care about her? She slowly walked over to the cake and saw the words on it. It was written in black chocolate sauce. After marriage, I will definitely obey my wife's orders. Chapter 37:15. There was a small pink box beside the cake. There was a bow on the box, and there was a greeting card under it. She opened the card and there was Du Jiuxing's strong handwriting on it, but there were several words that had been changed. In the end there was only, it was actually Qingchen who gave me the ring first, I don't know if it's too late to give it now. When the time comes, bring the ring and come pick me up, alright? Seeing the words on the card, Luo Qingchen couldn't help revealing a faint smile. She should have been happy with him, but there was more suffering than happiness. But even like this, she was still grateful to meet him, grateful to the heavens for bringing a youth named Du Jiuxing to her side. He was with her through the wind and snow, he was with her through the years. She carefully opened the box and placed the shiny diamond ring on her finger. The ring finger of her left hand was placed on the same side as her heart. She had eaten such a large cake for several days before finishing it, so she had been living in Du Jiuxing's apartment for the past few days. This seemed to be his original intention as well, because he had already made a clean bed for her and wrote many sticky notes in the room. This is the mirror I just bought, it was made according to your height. This is the closet, I've already organized half of the clothes and the rest are for you. The toothbrushes are all new and I didn't know what color you liked, so I bought a few and the other colors are in the drawer. This is the place for your good friend. I didn't know what kind you liked, so I bought a few. There are drinks you like in the fridge, snacks on the cabinet to the left, and I also bought some toys. When she saw the word toy, Luo Qingchen couldn't help laughing. Was he treating her like a child? This toy, Luo Qingchen had seen this toy before. It was a very large pink rabbit. It really was a rabbit that was filled with a young girl's heart. Perhaps she was more like a child in his eyes. At the same time, on Nine Peaks Mountain, the National Defense Special Task Force's 5 small teams went up the mountain at the same time from different directions. This time, they had to annihilate James' group and take back the S-Blood. The latest news they had was that Wang Wei wasn't dead and was being taken as a hostage. This forced one of their missions to save Wang Wei. "Boss, our mission is to provide support. This time, General Yi treated us quite well." Wang Zimu wiped his sweat and said, "Is he suddenly afraid of your honorable identity?" After all, other than his military position, Du Jiuxing's status was higher than everyone here. "I don't like being on standby at all." Du Jiuxing slightly knit his brows. "This means that if we clean up the scene, we'll be the last to go." He still wanted to leave quickly. He couldn't wait to take off this military uniform and return to her side. "If it's the last one, then it's the last one. Our Major Du is already so impatient." Wang Zimu teased, "There's no danger. After you're done with the team, take off your uniform and you'll be free from then on." Without knowing why, Wang Zimu was strangely envious of Du Jiuxing at this moment. He was an extremely dull and honest person. Other than being a little handsome, there was nothing about him that girls liked. Why did so many beautiful women like him? Could it be that the so-called appearance really represented everything? Yes. Du Jiuxing's lips curled into a rare smile. "This is something you can't envy." End of chapter. Chapter 37:16. Wang Zimu's face instantly became ugly, but he didn't dare refute it. "It really is the lemon fruit on the lemon tree, but there's only me under the tree." The 4 teams didn't have a good time fighting James. There were many injured and there were some who died. But in the end, James was killed on the spot, along with the entire terrorist group. There were no survivors. But the problem was that they didn't know where S-Blood was, and it was said that Wang Wei had escaped during the chaos. Since there was no danger from the mission, the support team stayed behind to search for Wang Wei and find S-Blood. After all, this medicine was a miracle in medicine, so all the leaders attached importance to it. But the Nine Souls team searched the Nine Peaks Mountain for 2 days, but they couldn't find Wang Wei or S-Blood. On the 3rd day, there was a forest fire 4,000 meters away. The fire spread very quickly, and when everyone sensed it, Wang Wei was already burned to the point where not even his bones were left. Whether it was a homicide or a suicide, there was no way to investigate it now. Next to Wang Wei's body was an empty test bottle. It should have been filled with S-Blood. If Wang Wei committed suicide, why would he use such a cruel method on himself? Wang Zimu looked around and said, "I don't think he committed suicide." "Did he kill himself?" Another member of the Nine Souls team said, "But this place is so barren and high above sea level, did he take such a big risk for S-Blood?" "It's possible." Du Jiuxing knit his brows and said, "That person is very smart. He definitely didn't just have James as a chess piece. In order to be safe, he must have arranged for other people." But he never thought that the army would leave behind reinforcements to search for Wang Wei. Before the corpse was burned and the evidence was destroyed, they had already arrived. "What do we do?" Wang Zimu tightly knit his brows. "Should we chase?" According to Du Jiuxing's temper, he would definitely chase. After all, this mountain was more advantageous for them, and the other side must have just left. If they chased, there was a chance of success. But, looking around, the fire was already very big and the other side definitely had guns. If they chased, it would be very dangerous. But how could Du Jiuxing care about his own safety before? The country and the people were always first in his heart. But now the number one in his heart had changed. Not the country, not the people, but the person he cared about the most and loved the most. "We won't chase." Du Jiuxing looked at the fire and said, "Organize all our equipment, we're preparing to head down the mountain." The forest fire was spreading very quickly. As far as the eye could see, there were already smoke spots everywhere. It had to be dealt with as soon as possible. Yes. Bring me the map. Du Jiuxing looked at the map and slightly knit his brows. Due to the altitude, they had to adjust the direction of the wind when they went down the mountain. Otherwise, they would be easily engulfed by the fire. The fire was spreading to the southeast, so they had to find a way down in the northwest. However, most of the roads in the northwest direction were mountain roads, which were difficult to walk on, so they had to use tools. The sky gradually darkened. Originally, they were supposed to set up camp and wait until dawn before going down the mountain. But Du Jiuxing felt a bit unsettled. He couldn't stay here any longer, he had to leave as soon as possible. The fire was getting bigger and bigger. The people at the foot of the mountain should already know about it. End of chapter. Chapter 37:17. Do we need to stay for the night? Wang Zimu asked. After a while, Du Jiuxing shook his head. We can't stay, let's leave as soon as possible. Yes. Although it was already night, everyone was trained by the special forces. Although it was hard to move on some mountain roads, they moved very quickly with things like ropes. The wind was very stable, moving to the southeast, but it moved faster than Du Jiuxing imagined. Boss, aren't we already at 3,000 meters? Wang Zimu patted his shoulder. We'll see sister-in-law soon, don't knit your brows, it's impossible for the wind to reach us. Zhuang on the side agreed. That's right. It'll only take a few hours to go down the mountain, boss can be assured. My wife is about to give birth. I'm actually even more anxious. I'm also anxious. Another soldier named Mazi said. My old mother is sick in the hospital. When I go back this time, I'll give myself a vacation and be with her for a few months. Mazi never thought of the same thing. Wang Zimu said with a smile. Then wouldn't your future wife blame you for being biased? No, I'll love everyone. Everyone was talking and laughing as they walked forward, but Du Jiuxing could feel the temperature around them gradually increasing. Looking through the binoculars, he felt that something was wrong with the wind. After a few minutes, Wang Zimu took off his jacket and said, Why is it getting hotter as we go down? Could it be that the geography teacher was right? For every 100 meters above sea level, the temperature drops by 0.6 degrees? That's not right. Du Jiuxing's heart skipped a beat. He rarely had this feeling, this was a rare time. What is it, boss? Is the geography teacher wrong? I mean... Du Jiuxing looked at the fire through the binoculars and softly said, The wind seems to have changed. Everyone was stunned, and their originally joking tone instantly became silent. If the wind was blowing in their direction, their situation would be incomparably dangerous. No. That's impossible. Wang Zimu moved faster as he said, blowing from the southeast to the northwest. Isn't this blowing from heaven to hell? I feel. No. Pockmark's voice was trembling. He bit his lip and said, I can feel that the fire is coming in our direction. Me too. Zhuang said. Du Jiuxing immediately gave the order. Immediately send the order to the ground, ask for helicopters to prepare artificial rain. I tried, but there's no signal. I don't have any signal here either. Everyone entered a state of high tension. The forest fire did not need to be anywhere else. Once, Du Jiuxing tightly knit his brows. Prepare the isolation tools, we're leaving quickly. However, they also knew that no matter how fast they walked, they couldn't keep up with the speed of the fire. Du Jiuxing was a bit afraid at that moment. He was so afraid that there were things that he had never experienced that really existed in his mind. There was a common point in all these scenes, and that was Luo Qingchen. No matter what kind of scene it was, he would always be by their side. Boss, the fire is really coming. Wang Zimu shouted, What should we do? Du Jiuxing looked at the mountain fire not far away and tightly clenched his fist. Isolated here. Chapter 37:18. The fire had already spread to them in 10 minutes, so isolating them in place was the only way. But everyone knew that isolating them in place was very risky. But if they didn't use any protective measures in the forest, their bodies would be instantly melted by the high temperature of the fire. With 1,000 degrees of heat, they would instantly turn into gas without leaving a corpse behind. After everyone isolated themselves, they hid in the special paper bag. The fire was already moving at a speed visible to the naked eye. Zhuang, who had always been like steel, began to cry at this moment. He cried out in a hoarse voice, "My wife is about to give birth. She's still waiting for me in the delivery room. I haven't seen my child yet. I can't die yet." This place was different from when they were fighting against terrorists. When they were fighting, they could at least use all their strength and spend 100% of their efforts to survive. But now, at this very moment, all they could do was wait. Wait endlessly. Ma Zi tightly wrapped himself up as he said in a trembling voice, "My old mother. She gave birth to me late. She's already over 70 years old. Father passed away 2 years ago. I can't abandon him. The girl I like accepted my confession. She said that being a soldier's wife would make her feel afraid, but she would also feel honored. I'm alone, but I haven't lived long enough. I'm only 17. I don't know why, but even at this moment I still feel that being a soldier is a very honorable thing." Everyone chimed in one after another, using their words to divert the heated attention away. Wang Zimu was asking the helicopters for rain while looking at Du Jiuxing. "What do we do? Dr. Luo, don't you want to think about yourself?" Du Jiuxing's lips slightly moved. His eyes were filled with a helpless glow that couldn't be seen clearly. "Me?" Wang Zimu said with a helpless smile. "There are many things I haven't done, but I don't have any regrets. I'm also very happy with my brothers. Right now, I'm still worried about you." Du Jiuxing gave a deep sigh as his eyes turned red. After a while, he said, "I also want to know what I should do." This was his first time not knowing what to do. Life or death, there were times when it wasn't that important. But how could his promise to her not be important? "Qingchen, she'll understand you, right?" Wang Zimu closed his eyes, and sleepiness gradually overtook him. He smiled bitterly. "You're a soldier." He wished that he could fall into a deep sleep so that he wouldn't feel so much pain after a while. "She won't." Du Jiuxing thought for a long time before saying in a dry voice, "Tell me, will she forget me and be with someone else?" "Definitely. She's so young." Wang Zimu adjusted his posture with difficulty. "Do you want her to like someone else, or—" "I don't." "Boss, why are you so selfish?" After an unknown amount of time, amidst the sizzling sound of the raging fire, a deep and affectionate voice was heard. "I'm just that selfish when it comes to her." Du Jiuxing closed his eyes and slowly stood up in the flames. He had betrayed her trust and broken his promise to her. But if there is a next life, please be sure to meet him. If they met again, just this once. Chapter 37:19. At the same time, in the hospital, there was the latest news on the big screen. There was a fire on a certain country's 9 Peaks mountain and the wind changed direction, sacrificing all the members of the team. Peng! The human albumin in Luo Qingchen's hand fell to the ground. The entire hospital fell silent. She rushed forward and grabbed someone's sleeve as she shouted, "What team are you talking about?" I don't know." "Say it." She could feel the blood in her body boiling, and there was nothing in her mind other than Du Jiuxing. "That." There was a nurse on the side who raised her hand. "It seems to be the 9 Souls team." It was like the heavens had written a script for everyone and some people were destined not to be happy. Just like in an avalanche, there wasn't a single snowflake that was innocent. 6 hours later, all the soldiers waiting at the foot of the mountain had gone up the 9 Peaks mountain. But because the fire was too big, they couldn't rush up and could only wait at 1,500 meters above sea level. Luo Qingchen arrived at 3 in the morning the next day. She had prepared all the tools, and when the soldiers weren't paying attention, she went up the mountain. Actually, she wasn't certain where Du Jiuxing was. She could only determine his position based on the wind direction and the fire she saw on the news. The sky was dark and she was hanging on a rope, climbing up step by step. Before she came here, she had arranged everything. Whether it was appropriate or not, it didn't matter to her. For Luo Qingchen, she only knew that even if a sharp stone cut across her white arm, she wouldn't feel any pain. There was only one goal in her heart, which was to walk towards Du Jiuxing step by step. She wasn't willing to look back, she wouldn't look back, she would never look back. The closer she got to 3,000 meters, the more Luo Qingchen felt like her body was burning. The temperature was just too high. Even if she was wearing clothes, she could feel the flames burning her body layer by layer. This place was already covered in flames, so the temperature was much lower than when the flames passed by. The surrounding area was in ruins, and the originally lush trees had turned grayish-white. Luo Qingchen walked forward step by step. She couldn't see clearly in front of her. Her surroundings were floating, but her heart was as clear as a mirror. It was as if there was a place in front of her that had been attracting her forward, attracting her to his side. Finally, after 3 hours of slow movement, she saw a pit not far ahead. There were rows of torn tinfoil and charred corpses. It was impossible to tell who was who. But Luo Qingchen instantly saw Du Jiuxing. Because everyone else was lying on their stomachs, and he was the only one who was kneeling. She seemed to recall the words he had said to her. "For you, I won't fall." He said that he would never fall. Keeping his promise was his last monologue to her. The exquisite ring on her right hand was the only thing that was bright. Even after being burned by a flame of several thousand degrees, it was still bright. Luo Qingchen walked towards him step by step. Her eyes were already blurred and her body had already reached the limit of the heat. The him back then should have closed his eyes when he reached his limit. She reached out and softly hugged him as tears came down. "Don't blame yourself, I don't blame you. It's just that I wasn't by your side each time, so I felt a bit sad. But it's all in the past, I'm here with you." At that moment there were a few drops of rain that fell from the sky. Then the rain became heavier. The forest fire that couldn't be extinguished was extinguished by 3 days of heavy rain. In the end, the two of them still died in the same place. He didn't know if he should be happy or hurt. "Let's meet again in the next life, Major Du. Let's meet again in the next life, Big Brother Jiuxing. Let's meet again in the next life, Du Jiuxing." She could always wait until the flowers bloomed one after another. And Chapter 37:20. Compared to parting, I'm more afraid of not having the chance to remember. Du Jiuxing, my life, perhaps it wasn't that dazzling. But I felt that everyone had to listen to my orders, and she wasn't an exception at first. I would never forget the first time I met her when I talked to her on the phone. I thought that she would panic, but the truth was that she was even calmer than me. Every sentence was said with such calmness that even his voice did not tremble in the slightest. I was very surprised. She wasn't a soldier and she had never experienced this kind of situation before, so how could she be this calm? She really was someone who could successfully attract the attention of others. But I couldn't put this attention on my face. I even chose to keep my distance in the beginning. Because the feeling in my heart was strange, but there was also a sense of expectation in the strangeness. It made people unable to control themselves and wildly approach it. What kind of feeling was that? There were many people who couldn't understand it. I couldn't help asking about her injuries, but I was very unwilling to let Wang Zimu take her to the emergency room. Then I went back on my words again. After struggling in my heart several times, I couldn't use my reason to win over my emotions in the end. I really didn't understand at that time, why did I care that much when Wang Zimu hugged her? It was clearly my first time meeting her today, we had clearly never met before, but I cared this much. In the end, I couldn't let anyone take her to the emergency room. When I hugged her, there was a very strange sense of satisfaction in my heart. This feeling couldn't be described and couldn't be explained. The road to the emergency room was only that long, but I wanted to hold her and keep walking. Then I met a doctor and I knew that he had bad intentions just by looking at the doctor's eyes. Thinking about it, I also seemed to have bad intentions, but I didn't show it on my face. I was very angry at that time, so I angrily turned to leave. Thinking about it later, it was a good thing that he liked me in the end. If that doctor took advantage of this, I wouldn't even have a chance to cry. On the way back to the base, Wang Zimu sat in the back seat. I drove very fast, so fast that even Wang Zimu, who didn't care about life and death, couldn't help asking me what was wrong. I said at that time, "Help me check on her later." However, as soon as Wang Zimu left, I followed behind him. Why did I follow? Because he was worried. Thinking about it, that ugly-looking doctor might have taken advantage of the situation, and so might that Prince Wood. No, I have to stop this from happening. In the end, when I was at the hospital, I found the third dangerous person. This person looked even worse than the previous two. I could tell that he was a liar with a mouth full of lies. After I chased away the people who looked like scammers outside, I chased away Wang Xiangmu as well. At that time, I deliberately pretended to be very cold, but in fact, my heart was racing. If I let her know that I had such thoughts, I wonder if she would think that I was particularly unbearable. However, it turned out that I had concealed it very well. It was only when I caught her off guard that our relationship became closer. Later, as if they were thinking of the same intersection point, they got closer and closer. Until the second danger came. That was a moment that I would still feel fear whenever I thought about it later on. She was too calm, so calm that if something really happened to her, I felt that I would go crazy. Chapter 37:21. From the collision of the bullets to falling from a tall building with my grandmother, she calculated everything very accurately. It was as if she already had a plan in her heart and didn't need to trouble anyone. In fact, she seemed to have always been like this. She clearly had a face that was so cute that I couldn't look away, but she always looked indifferent. Only once did I see a flicker of light in her eyes under the calmness. It was really a light that could make me die from heartache. Wang Zimu's injury made her afraid and made her feel uneasy. I really felt how much she cared about me, and my heart was filled with all sorts of feelings. I promised her that as long as I finished my current mission, I would take off my military uniform and become a normal person with her. God knows how much I yearned for this kind of life after that day. Even I, who had always rushed forward, would think twice about things when I faced them later on. I wasn't afraid of death before, but I was afraid of how sad she would be if I really died and left her alone. I clearly knew that she wanted to be with me for everything, and I clearly knew how much I should love her. But I still made her worry, because the military uniform that I was originally proud of, but now it had become my shackles. I needed to save those who didn't look like good people. As long as I wore this uniform, I would do it without hesitation. That was the country's trust in me, that was what I asked of myself. But I didn't think that Liang Kai would shoot me. In fact, at that moment, I knew that they were video linking, and I kept using Morse code to tell her not to be impulsive. I couldn't see her, but I could hear her rapid breathing and her trembling voice. At that moment, I could even imagine what she wanted to do, but I couldn't do anything about it. When the bullet passed through my forehead, my vision turned black. I wanted to say something, wanted to gesture something, but found that I didn't have any strength. At that time, I thought that I was willing to use all my luck for the rest of my life in exchange for meeting her again. If possible, the heavens beg you. I don't know if the heavens heard my cries, or if my luck was good for the rest of my life, but I really survived. My body was tired, but my mind was clear. I wanted to return to her side, that was the only thing I wanted to do. After going through this kind of life and death situation, I became more careful. It seemed that living became my only goal, not for the country, not to save people. But but that seemed to be the only luck I had in my life. Facing the spread of the raging fire, I felt so helpless at that moment. It would be great if my abilities were a bit more powerful. More powerful than this world, beyond all things, beyond time, beyond space. That way, I would be able to come to her side in that instant. That way, we might be able to spend the rest of our lives together. Unfortunately, it was just a fleeting dream. The moment he closed his eyes, an endless sea flashed before his eyes. There was a villa there, a garden, trees, wind, and the sea. The sun was beautiful, and the beach was white. She was wearing a light white sweater, standing in the wind, smiling at me. His smile was so warm that I didn't feel any pain. She was still the one who felt the most heartache. In the end, he still left her alone. You can blame me, but don't be angry. My future wife, let's meet again in the next life, okay? Ding, congratulations on bringing a soul fragment into the lead god space, 60/100. Chapter 37:22. Tell me, will there really be a next life in this world? Will you still remember me in the next life? This was the question that Luo Qingchen kept thinking about in the 10 days she was in the chaos. She didn't accept the next mission because the system said that the mission level had changed. From the next mission, the mission level would go from SS grade to SSS grade. But she felt very tired. It was like the closer she was to the truth, the closer she was to her own memories and identity, the more tired she felt. Soul fragments, Big Brother Jiusheng. That was the end of the road. Because the host has completed the first 55 missions very well, when the mission level goes from SS grade to SSS grade, the host will have to collect 5 soul fragments per mission. This was what the system had told her when she returned to the chaos space 10 days ago. If it was before and the system told her this, she would have jumped up in joy. But in this situation where her heart was dead, there wasn't a single ripple in her heart. Sometimes I wonder what kind of unforgivable thing I've done that I have to experience this kind of world again and again. As long as the host's experience bar is full and you collect all the soul fragments, you can regain your memories. What about after that? Perhaps the host can return to 30,000 years ago. Silence, silence, silence. The originally silent chaos space fell into an even more deathly silence. Because of the system's words, there was a kind of hope that lit up in her heart. But she seemed to have thought of something else. If it's 5 soul fragments, then won't I become Big Brother Jiusheng soon? It can be said like this. Special planes. Can they give me powers? The host of special planes can't have any powers. As the difficulty increases, the stability of the plane will decrease. It really didn't give people any hope. It was like in the darkness, she was desperately searching for a straw. It was like she desperately wanted Big Brother Jiusheng to live. It was a pity that no one was willing to give her this straw. No one reached out a hand to her when she was at her most desperate, giving her a bit of hope. Host, you can do it. The system also hopes that you can regain your memory as soon as possible. Although they only had a master-servant relationship, they had been together for so long. As far as the system was concerned, it also hoped that Luo Qingchen could be happy. Issue the mission. Okay. Name: Luo Qingchen Plane Space. God's favored son. You must obey me. Mission completion rate: 100% EXP. 6500/10,000 currently. There are 5 items in the portable space: 4/5 exquisite ring, 9-section moon whip, phoenix dance sword, universal medicine box. Permanent ability: Space and Time Freeze LV7 permanent ability. Teleport level 6 permanent ability. Telekinesis LV3 exchange points. 500 obtained a special ability bestowed by the Lord God one time. Can be used in any plane. Host: the 56th mission panel is below. Appearance: 99 out of 100 stamina, 99 out of 100 intelligence, 99 out of 100 figure, 99 out of 100. In the next second, the image in the bronze mirror changed. mission grade. SSS, experience gained. 500 female lead. Luo Qingchen male lead. Fang Qinxi supporting female lead. Qing Yuya supporting male lead. Qi Zhan, return to half an hour before the previous host died and complete the previous host's wish. Memories have been issued. Host, please check. End of this chapter. Chapter 37-23. It really was an SSS level task. Just listening to the original host's story was very exciting. The original host was the daughter of a rich family. She didn't have to worry about food or clothing since she was born. In addition, she was an only child. Her parents doted on her to death. Even so, the original host was a very kind and optimistic person. She wasn't arrogant like other daughters. Moreover, she was very sensitive to data. She was a genius in math. Whether it was middle school or high school, the original host's math was amazing. Generally, the better someone was at math, the more they liked to play games. In addition, the original host didn't need to study at all. After graduating from high school, her family arranged for her to study abroad. The college entrance exam didn't have much meaning for her. But all the routine life was broken by the original host's mother in an accident. The original host's father married a new wife. That wife's daughter was the original host's classmate. It was also the supporting female lead Qing Yuya. Qing Yuya's reputation in school wasn't good. It was probably because she was poor. But she wasn't willing to be poor. She liked to use men to satisfy her vanity. But how many men in this world didn't regret their feelings? Qing Yuya wanted their money to satisfy her vanity. What she sold was her own body. In fact, the original host didn't have any hostility towards Qing Yuya. On the contrary, once Qing Yuya broke up with her new boyfriend, she didn't have money to pay the class fee. When everyone was laughing at her, the original host silently paid for her. In Qing Yuya's eyes, the original host wanted to show off her wealth. She deliberately did this to embarrass her. After that, Qing Yuya borrowed money from the original host from time to time. At first, it was 2 or 3 yuan. Then it was 20 or 30 yuan. Then it was 200 or 300 yuan. The original host's personality was very casual. If someone asked, she would borrow. She never expected Qing Yuya to return the money. She would occasionally advise her not to get too close to the boys in society. But the original host didn't expect that Qing Yuya would target the original host's boyfriend, Qi Zhan. Qi Zhan was a very outstanding young man. He and the original host met in a large online game. They accidentally found out that they were students in the same school. Although they weren't in the same class, their relationship quickly developed. Not only in the game, they were lovers in real life. Perhaps it was because she was too comfortable when she was with the original host. Both of them were rich, and both of them were good-looking. Both of them were the type that spent money like crazy in the game. Qi Zhan found more and more that there was nothing new about it until Qing Yuya appeared. They met by chance at an internet cafe. Every Thursday there would be an event in the game. Since it was still early, Qi Zhan didn't have time to go home to participate in the event. He would always participate in the event at an internet cafe near his school. Once, he happened to meet Qing Yuya. Although it was just Qi Zhan's self-righteousness, in fact, Qing Yuya had already planned to snatch Qi Zhan from the original owner, so after knowing his habits, she waited for him at the internet cafe on time. Qing Yuya also prepared a number early. Of course, the number she prepared was naturally not comparable to the original owner. It was simply a broken account that couldn't be more broken. Not only was the equipment on his body broken, but his skills were also terrible. However, Qing Yuya was not worried. After all, she had experienced so many boyfriends. Naturally, she knew what kind of woman men liked the most. End of chapter. Chapter 37-24. She played by herself for a while, then deliberately looked at Qi Zhan, who was playing a dungeon, and praised him. "Great God, you're really amazing! How can you use such a good technique? It's really amazing. Teach me." Facing Qing Yuya's admiring eyes, Qi Zhan felt a sense of vanity. A man needs this sense of vanity. Otherwise, why would a spoiled woman have the best life? In the beginning, he liked the original owner because they were on the same level. But later, he found that this kind of girlfriend who was good in all aspects was a bit boring over time. Because the two people knew each other very well, the previous host would not praise Qi Zhan if she was very good. And Qi Zhan did not feel the feeling of being surrounded. The appearance of Qing Yuya gave Qi Zhan a sense of vanity. As such an excellent and good-looking young man, his need for vanity was even higher. I can teach you. Qi Zhan looked at her screen and said, "Add me and take me as your teacher." In this way, Qing Yuya became Qi Zhan's disciple. In fact, the previous host also knew that Qi Zhan had a disciple in the game. He often took his disciple to do missions and take her to see the scenery. But the previous host did not know that this disciple was Qing Yuya. Not long after, Qi Zhan and Qing Yuya secretly got together. When the previous host found out, Qing Yuya just said, "We are true love, so I don't need to explain to you." Qi Zhan did not say anything superfluous. He just apologized and said sorry. In this kind of situation, men usually protect their new love. They rarely protect their old love. Less than 3 months after Qing Yuya took Qi Zhan away, the previous host's father married a new wife. In fact, the previous host did not care much about this matter. After all, her father was still young and needed to find someone to accompany him until he was old. But the previous host never thought that the new woman who entered the Luo family was Qing Yuya's mother, Wang Mengmeng. 3 months ago, the previous host's boyfriend was taken away by Qing Yuya. 3 months later, the previous host's father was taken away by Qing Yuya's mother. The host, who had always been spoiled, naturally couldn't accept it. She took the money left by her mother and left the Luo family. She found a place to live. However, she never expected that Qing Yuya would not only occupy her home, but also spread false rumors about her in school. For example, Luo Qingchen is not the daughter of the Luo family at all. She is the bastard child of her dirty mother and another man. My mother married her father and worked hard without complaint, but not only did she not respect my mother, she also spoke ill of her. She even hit my mother. In fact, the people in the class didn't completely believe Qing Yuya's words. After all, Qing Yuya's reputation in school was very bad. However, Qi Zhan wasn't happy that his girlfriend was bullied by his ex-girlfriend. She found Luo Qingchen and scolded her with sharp words. In the spirit of standing on the moral high ground to destroy the 3 views of the world, it completely hurt the heart of the original owner. No matter what, you've been a rich young lady since young. How can you treat Yuya like this? What did she do wrong? She has nothing. It's not easy for her to have a warm family. How can you treat her like this? I apologized to you before because I felt that it was not good for me to be with Yuya without informing you in advance. But what about you? Are you grateful for my apology? This chapter ends. Chapter 37:25. That night, the previous host wasn't feeling well and the new house had just been luxuriously decorated. She had just gotten the key and had been driving back and forth these past few days, so her body was already tired. Qi Zhan's cursing made the previous host feel very wronged and she couldn't stop crying on the way back to her new home. The previous host still had feelings for Qi Zhan, although these feelings weren't very long. But whether it was a relationship in the game or a real-life couple, she treated them all very seriously. But in the end, she got such a result, which pushed her heart to its limit. She needed to cry and then rest for a while. But the heavens didn't seem to give her this chance, and arranged for her to see the King of Hell. The previous host's life ended like this. The bronze panel finally wrote that the previous host had 2 wishes in her life. 1. Make Qi Zhan regret. 2. Make her father Luo by regret. Although her mother had left this world, her father not only didn't fulfill his responsibilities as a father, but also caused her incomparably heavy harm. Luo Qingchen finished accepting all the memories and expressed 3 words to the previous host's wishes. No. Out. Rest. What was the use of a person regretting? She had to make them feel uncomfortable and feel the regret in their heart that wouldn't dissipate for a long time. Even saying that he felt sorry for her was a promising performance. In addition, the previous host's wishes didn't mention Qing Yuya or her mother Wang Mengmeng at all. Not torturing the people that needed to be tormented wasn't Luo Qingchen's style. Moreover, there was a special feeling that she couldn't calm down in the previous world. Some people shouldn't come and touch a nail otherwise. I'm talking to you, do you hear me? Luo Qingchen accepted the memories very quickly. Only 5 minutes had passed. However, during these 5 minutes, this body had been absent-minded, so Qizhan, who was condemning him in a serious manner, was displeased. He had said so many righteous words, but the other side had given him an expression that went in one ear and out the other. What did you say? Luo Qingchen gently scratched her ear and said, I didn't hear a single word. Luo Qingchen, you. Qizhan's face was a bit red and his eyes had a trace of surprise. Why did he feel that Luo Qingchen's expression and eyes were different when she said those words? No, no, no. How could the usual Luo Qingchen say something like that? I say, since you are the eldest daughter of the Luo family, you should protect Yuya. Yuya is being pointed at in school, you should stand up for her. Qizhan looked at her and shouted, as an elder sister, don't you even have this self-awareness? Sister? Hearing this, Luo Qingchen's lips curled into an extremely disdainful smile. Is her surname Luo or mine Qing? If you don't need Qizhan's brain, you can donate it to others. But a pig brain like yours shouldn't harm others. Luo Qingchen, what did you say? Qizhan's eyes widened. Apparently, she didn't expect Luo Qingchen to talk to her like that. He always thought that Luo Qingchen would apologize to him and protect Qing Yuya well in the future. She might even think that his behavior tonight was particularly heroic. It seems like other than your brain being bad, your ears are also very normal. You! The contrast between Luo Qingchen and herself was too big. Qizhan was filled with rage and raised his hand to hit her. Actually, he didn't know if he would hit her or not, but it seemed like Luo Qingchen didn't give him a chance to think. Pung! Luo Qingchen clenched her right fist and punched Qizhan in the stomach. Then she threw him over her shoulder. Then there was Qizhan's pitiful cry. Luli thought about it. I should let everyone see Big Brother Jiuxing as soon as possible. After all, the last story made me feel bad. There are a total of 8 stories in this book, 1 normal world and 1 special world. Soul Fragment 5, speed up the progress. Thank you to the people who came with me, and I hope that we can finish the last 8 stories. I will definitely give you a satisfying ending. End of this chapter. Chapter 37-26. Qizhan naturally didn't think that Luo Qingchen would do such a thing to him. This shoulder throw was really fierce, so fierce that he couldn't even stand up. He could only make sounds while shouting, Luo Qingchen, are you crazy? What? Luo Qingchen looked at Qizhan, who was struggling to get up from the ground, and said, You provoked me first, so I can't fight back. You, are we familiar with each other? From beginning to end, Luo Qingchen looked at him with contempt. This was the first time Qizhan had seen Luo Qingchen look at him like this. It was like a completely different person. The body was still the same, but the soul was no longer the same soul. As soon as her voice fell, Luo Qingchen clapped her hands twice and turned to leave without hesitation. Luo Qingchen felt that it was hard to say a word to this kind of person who didn't have good morals and didn't have a good brain. After leaving Qizhan, she looked at the time. There were still 20 minutes before the original host died. In order to avoid the same accident, Luo Qingchen decided to find a place to eat and then go home after this time. At first glance, she took a fancy to the place with the golden arch symbol. Hamburgers, fried chicken, cola, and happy time by herself. In fact, there were times when she liked to be alone. It was as if the heavens wanted her to stop and listen to the happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy around her. This feeling was pretty good. After eating for around 30 minutes, Luo Qingchen went to the garage to get the car and then drove home. The road was very smooth and there were no accidents. Although the original host was very kind, she wasn't very outgoing. It was probably because people with a smart brain didn't have an easy time getting close to ordinary people. She always gave people a gray area that was neither close nor far. Her classmates didn't think she was cold, but they also didn't think she was talkative. Originally, Luo Qingchen couldn't perfectly analyze the original host's personality through her memories, but now that she was downstairs in the house she bought, she had a complete understanding. This house should completely reflect the original owner's personality. It was the most luxurious suite in the city center of A, but it was on the 32nd floor. It was enough to show the relationship between the original owner and his friend. The central area, however, always had its own private space. But thinking about it, the richer a rich young lady was, the more she needed her own private space. Luo Qingchen, I like this very much. It's the most prosperous area in the city center. It's very convenient to eat and shop. The apartment on the 32nd floor must be very quiet most of the time. It was full of private space. Luo Qingchen walked into the apartment and swiped her card for facial recognition. The apartment was indeed very high-end. It gave off a high-tech vibe everywhere. After Luo Qingchen put away the room card, the elevator door opened. A man wearing a black sweater and black sunglasses walked in front of her. She followed him closely and pressed the button for the 32nd floor on the right side of the elevator. The elevator moved very quickly and did not stop at all. Luo Qingchen didn't look at the face of the person next door, but inexplicably felt a little strange. This strange feeling made her feel irritable. After 3 seconds, Luo Qingchen suddenly understood why her heart was filled with irritation. Because the highest floor of the apartment was the 32nd floor. The youth wearing a black sweater and her colleague walked into the elevator, but the youth didn't press the elevator button and didn't ask her to help him. Luo Qingchen cleared her throat and thought, my God! Could it be that he was a stalker? Chapter 37:27. He was either a murderer or a thief. Wearing sunglasses, she could not tell what he looked like at all. Fortunately, this was not a special dimension. She had her superpower, but she was not that scared. However, the atmosphere was a bit weird. Ding! After a dozen seconds, the elevator finally stopped on the 32nd floor. Luo Qingchen glanced at the young man in the black sweater next door. Seeing that he was not going to move, she walked out first. The next second, the young man followed her. Oh my God! He was indeed a stalker. But fortunately, she had mastered karate and sanda. She pretended to take a few steps and then turned around to attack the young man in the sweater. The young man was dazed and frowned. Just when Luo Qingchen thought that she could completely suppress the young man, her opponent quickly dodged to the side and dodged her attack. God! She was really good. Both of them had the same idea at the same time. The young man frowned and said, a female robber? Then you may have found the wrong person. In the eyes of Fang Qianxi, the girl in front of her was very unfamiliar. He had never seen her before today. He originally thought that she was just a crazy fan, but her sudden attack overturned his idea. With such skills, she looked more like a robber. Luo Qingchen was dazed and frowned. A robber? Who else? Fang Qianxi narrowed her eyes and smiled coldly. Following me here in the middle of the night, if you are not a robber, what are you? Are you going to tell me that you are a fan? Fan? Luo Qingchen looked at the young man in front of her and snorted. Are you going to tell me that you are a star? What a coincidence! She met a star in her new home. Host, the coincidence is not this. Why did you come out? Then what is it? More coincidentally, his name is Fang Qianxi. Luo Qingchen was speechless. Birds of a feather flock together. It seems that you are not a fan, Fang Qianxi raised her eyebrows and looked at Luo Qingchen proudly. Then you are a robber? After all, if she was not a robber, it was hard for him to imagine that an ordinary person would have such skills. If he was not a 10th degree Jeet Kune Do black belt, he would not have been able to dodge the sudden attack. This mister, could it be that I can't live here? Luo Qingchen said with a soft snort. Am I a robber living on the same floor as you? In the next second, she turned around and took out her keys to open the door of her house. Fang Qianxi was stunned. Only when Luo Qingchen closed the door did she react. It turned out that she was the one who bought this apartment at the end of the auction. If he hadn't received an important phone call during the auction, how could this apartment have fallen into the hands of others? One had to know that he was a clean freak. Even if there were only 2 rooms on each floor, he still felt uncomfortable. The original owners of this apartment were a couple. They had moved abroad a few years ago and had never come back. Last month, the couple had an accident. Without any immediate relatives, the house in China was put on auction. Originally, he wanted to buy this apartment as well, so that he could live on the first floor alone. He did not expect that someone else would get it first. And it was such an uncute person. She did not even know him. Chapter 37:28. Luo Qingchen said that she was innocent. The original owner was a typical otaku. Except for going to school, she spent all her time playing games. She was good at the game. However, because she was so good at it, Qi Zhan lost his desire to protect her and chose Qingyue. As soon as Luo Qingchen entered the house, she turned on the computer and quickly searched for Fang Qianxi. Judging from his arrogant tone, he should be a star. After searching, she was right. Fang Qianxi, currently studying at the Central Academy of Drama, a freshman, national idol, the most popular new star. Luo Qingchen glanced at her Weibo. She had more than 50 million followers. At the age of 19, she had already made 2 sci-fi movies, one of which was a collaboration with Hollywood. After all, it was not easy to have amazing acting skills at such a young age. After reading Fang Qianxi's profile, Luo Qingchen was a bit worried. The other party was a star. Just by looking at his eyes, she knew that he was arrogant. She almost hit him when they just met. She should not have a good impression of him. Yes. 0. You can't blame me for getting 0. Luo Qingchen said to herself with her arms akimbo. A man entered the elevator with me in the middle of the night and didn't even press the button. How horrible! Is the host afraid of this? Of course I am afraid. I am still a virgin. She was right. This body was originally that of a virgin, so was there a problem? She did not want to talk to the system, so she went directly to the closet to take her pajamas and went to the bathroom to take a shower. To be honest, the original owner was really rich. This apartment was at least 800 square meters. Every part of the house was exquisitely decorated and luxuriously designed. Everywhere was filled with extravagant decorations of the royal family. The hot water in the bathroom was hot spring water, with a light fragrance. Just as Luo Qingchen was rubbing the cherry blossom scent on her body suddenly shook. She instantly grabbed the railing at the side and stood still like a wooden puppet. Even so, she could still feel her surroundings shaking non-stop. God! Could it be an earthquake? Luo Qingchen hurriedly grabbed the towel at hand and wrapped herself into a ball. She was ready to quickly put on a sweater and run away. Unexpectedly, her doorbell rang at this time. Ding dong, ding dong. In this room that was constantly shaking, the sudden ringing of the doorbell made her feel as if the king of hell was knocking on her door. Luo Qingchen is stunned for a second. The frequency of the doorbell is getting faster and faster. She frowned and strode forward to open the door. Who is it? Do you still come to visit after an earthquake? The next second, Su Qianxi immediately grabbed her hand and walked inside. There was a faint fragrance on his body that was faintly discernible, giving people a feeling that he was out of reach. Why did you open the door so slowly? She frowned slightly. Where is the bathroom? Inside. Inside. Come with me. It was impossible for them to escape from the 32nd floor. The only way was to hide under the heavy walls. After all, it was the top floor, so the tremors were quite obvious. If it were anywhere else, it would be easier to get injured. Originally, Su Qianxi did not plan to go out. She only planned to hide in her bathroom for a while. But suddenly she thought of the neighbor who had just moved in, and felt inexplicably worried. Is it safe here? Luo Qingchen slightly nodded. The light in the bathroom flickered, and the atmosphere felt even weirder. It is not safe anywhere in an earthquake. Su Qianxi narrowed her eyes and looked at her chest. The time to take a shower is still appropriate.